Greetings, friends. You are watching Ruslan Belov's channel. Today, we will analyze in detail the situation in Ukraine as of February 11th, 2026. Many significant events have occurred over the past 24 hours, so I suggest we proceed to the analysis without delay. Let's start with the situation in the Zaporizhzhia direction, where the Ukrainian side, according to available information, continues its attempts to carry out counter-offensive actions. However, looking at media reports, both pro-Russian and pro-Ukrainian, one can notice significant discrepancies in the assessments of what is happening. Some sources claim that the counter-offensive of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, AFU, is already in full swing, and this is being reported by Ukrainian channels as well. Others insist that no large-scale offensive operations are currently taking place. As a result, a highly confusing picture emerges. There is little confirmed data, and information is fragmentary, so we will only discuss the details gathered so far. Moving to the western part of the Zaporizhzhia direction. The combat map here has undergone notable changes over the past day. While as recently as February 10th, 2026, the settlements of Rechnoye, Lukyanovskoye, Novoboykovskoye, and Novodyakovskoye were under steady and confident control of the Russian armed forces. According to the previous map configuration, the situation now looks different. Recall that just yesterday, we discussed Russian units gradually closing the distance to Orikhiv from both the south and west. However, today serious adjustments are being made. The so-called grey zone, north and northeast of Stepnohirsk, is expanding significantly. A number of neutral, as well as pro-Ukrainian and pro-Western analytical services and experts are almost unanimous in declaring the start of a Ukrainian counter-offensive on this specific sector. According to their assessments, Ukrainian units have managed to achieve a noticeable advance towards Stepnohirsk during the course of the fighting. In addition to map updates, the first visual materials related to the fighting in this direction have appeared today. Some pro-Ukrainian and pro-Western OSINT analysts reported identifying video footage dedicated to the Western Zaporizhzhia counter-offensive. Although I have not personally seen the footage yet, one separate frame was published, which, according to experts, was taken exactly at the indicated point on the map. According to their findings, over the last few days, Ukrainian forces managed to advance significantly south of the settlement of Hryhorivka, south of Zaporizhzhia, in the direction of Stepnohirsk. Furthermore, drawing a parallel to events in the eastern Zaporizhzhia sector, Ukrainian units may have approached the main defensive line running between Stepnohirsk and Orikhiv. Judging by the current dynamics, the Ukrainian side will likely continue its attempts to develop the counter-offensive. The near future will show how the situation unfolds further. Simultaneously, video materials from the area south of Orikhiv are being published. Ukrainian sources distributed a recording showing unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV, strikes on farmsteads located southwest of the city. Based on these frames, an additional adjustment of the front line is being made. The author of the recording claims the strikes targeted advanced positions of Russian units. From this, it can be concluded that the Russian army continues its advance toward Orikhiv from the south, including through Novoandriivka. Thus, analyzing the incoming information, it can be assumed that heavy meeting engagements are currently unfolding in this sector. Russian forces are striving to improve their tactical position ahead of an anticipated major Battle of Zaporizhzhia, which will likely unfold in the spring or summer of 2026. At the same time, the Ukrainian side is taking active counter-attacking actions, seeking to strengthen its own positions before a possible large-scale phase of hostilities. Changes are also being recorded in the eastern sector of the Zaporizhzhia direction, particularly in the Starokranka area. In recent days, the front line here has been repeatedly refined, but today it appears the situation has cleared up. Control over the settlement is once again attributed to Russian units. Simultaneously, video materials from the Kosovtsevo area are appearing, along with updates from various mapping resources. Recall that in the Ternovatoye area, according to some sources, the Ukrainian side also undertook counter-offensive actions. We previously discussed footage of objective control, and according to updated information, Russian units were forced to withdraw from the northern part of Kosovtsevo to the central and southern parts of the settlement. The AFU counteroffensive here continues. The main task of Ukrainian units in this direction, according to available estimates, is to force the Russian army to abandon its positions on the western bank of the Huliaipole River and thereby deprive it of a strategic bridgehead for a potential offensive toward the city of Zaporizhzhia. Next, we move to the Zaporizhzhia sector of the front. Here, the pro-Ukrainian deep state mapping team has significantly expanded the grey zone in the Huliaipole area over the past 24 hours. According to their updated data, as of the end of the day on February 11, 2026, Russian units already control more than half of the territory of this settlement and continue to develop offensive operations. Regarding the situation around Konstantinovka, no new information has been received from this direction in the last 24 hours. It appears that the Russian military command, as part of its late winter campaign, has shifted priorities, likely toward the Sloviansk sector or the Zaporizhzhia direction. As for the Sloviansk sector of the front, large-scale adjustments to the line of contact are being observed here. There is a sense that the defense along the M03 highway has finally lost its stability in recent days. Since the beginning of February 2026, the map in this direction has been updated almost daily. The number of changes is significant, and the dynamics indicate an active advance of Russian units toward Fedorivka Druha, Nikiforivka, Privilia, Bondan, and Dibrova. Additional information appeared today that Russian forces have closely approached the settlements of Tikhonivka, Fedorivka Druha, Dibrova, and Lipivka. This information is predominantly distributed by pro-Ukrainian mapping resources. Based on their data, the grey zone is also expanding in the direction of Sloviansk. Meanwhile, no significant changes have been recorded to the east at this time. Next, we move to the Kupiansk sector of the front. Here, changes were recorded today in the Bohuslavka area. Comparing the map from February 10th with current data, one can see that Russian units managed to improve their position along the perimeter between Nova Kruhlyakivka, Bohuslavka, and Nova Platonivka. The pressure on Ukrainian positions continues. The most significant events today are unfolding east of Kovsharivka. According to reports from individual pro-Russian experts, Russian forces managed to break through the AFU defense in this area and establish themselves on the eastern outskirts of Novusinov. Geolocation confirmations of this information may appear in the near future. However, it can already be assumed that the extensive network of Ukrainian strongpoints east of Kovsharivka has either already passed, or will soon pass, under the control of the Russian army. From these positions, access to the Kovsharivka agglomeration opens up. Overall, analyzing the information received during January and February 2026, it can be suggested that the battles for the eastern bridgehead on the banks of the Oskil River are nearing completion. Now, let's briefly touch upon the political agenda. Considering the events taking place since the beginning of January 2026, the statements coming out of Kiev today may indicate that the Russian Federation is preparing a new massive strike on energy infrastructure in the next 48 hours. If we recall previous attacks on energy facilities in late 2025 and early 2026, shortly before each strike, statements were made about a possible end to the active phase of the conflict. Reports appeared, predominantly in Western and pro-Ukrainian media, that the United States and Donald Trump allegedly demand an end to the conflict in March, that referendums might be held in May, and that hostilities would end in June. However, after each new strike, statements followed about a revision of these plans. It is possible the current situation differs from previous episodes, but one cannot rule out a repetition of the already familiar scenario. Furthermore, information surfaced today regarding a potential visit of a Ukrainian delegation to the territory of the Russian Federation. According to some reports, the delegation may be led by Kirilo Budanov, who currently serves as the head of the office of the President of Ukraine. It is also reported that Vitko and Fikshner have allegedly provided security guarantees and transport for the Ukrainian delegation's flight to Russia. It should be noted that from the perspective of Russian legislation, Kirilo Budanov's entry into the Russian Federation is extremely problematic. Nonetheless, we will monitor the development of events. Meanwhile, the probability of a massive strike in the next 2 days remains high. It is important to understand that according to open-source data on the redeployment of strategic and transport aircraft, the Russian Federation is already prepared to launch a strike. Theoretically, it could have been carried out on the night of February 11th. However, for unclear reasons, it was postponed, possibly to the night of February 11th to 12th or a later date. It is possible that the delay is related to the actions of the Ukrainian side, which carried out massive drone attacks on Russia's southern regions during the past night. Throughout the evening and night, a large number of reports were received regarding drones operating in this direction. The Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation stated that between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m., 48 drones were shot down over Rostov, Belgorod, the Krasnodar territory, and other southern regions. Subsequently, from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., according to the department, another 108 vehicles were destroyed, 49 of them over the Volgograd region and 29 over the Rostov region. Looking at the map, one can assume that a significant group of drones was moving through the Rostov region toward Volgograd. Video footage is circulating online, presumably capturing moments of drone interceptions and the resulting fires in Volgograd. These materials are being viewed as evidence of a nocturnal aerial battle. Simultaneously, on the night of February 11th, the Russian Federation launched a massive strike on Ukrainian territory, once again concentrating on energy infrastructure facilities. According to open sources, the main blow fell on Zaporizhzhia. Video materials capturing explosions and fires are being published. The target was later geolocated as a 330 to 110 kilovolt substation located in the southern part of the city. The choice of this target is likely not accidental. Given the ongoing hostilities in the Zaporizhzhia direction, it can be assumed that the strikes on the energy sector are aimed at disrupting the transfer of Ukrainian reserves and supplies to the front line. Regarding possible targets for strikes on the night of February 12, 2026, they will likely be concentrated on the remaining functioning power plants. Between February 6th and February 11th, the number of operating stations has significantly decreased. The Ladizhin TPP in the Vinnytsia region, judging by footage from February 10th, is non-functional following strikes carried out on February 3rd. A similar situation is observed at the Kryvyi Rih TPP. Satellite imagery from February 9th confirms that it is out of operation. At the same time, images appeared from the Kharkiv area, where smoke was noticed over CHPP-5. This may indicate a partial restoration of the station's operation. If the facility has indeed been put back into service, it could become a potential target for new strikes. In the case of Kharkiv, Iskander operational tactical missile systems will likely be used, while cruise missiles may be employed against targets in western Ukraine. Ukrainian sources are already reporting reconnaissance activity over the country's western regions, which may indicate preparations for new strikes specifically there. The situation continues to evolve, and the coming 24 hours could prove to be extremely tense. No changes were recorded in the northern directions during the reporting period. This concludes the overview. Thank you for your attention. Subscribe to the channel and support it with your likes. All the best.